Transducer Test. To perform a transducer test, AMT Transducer and Meter room can be used. This room consists of two main windows of Test View and Transducer Characteristic. In this section, it is possible to test signal phase and three-phase transducers with symmetric performance characteristics, or asymmetrical ones. To begin the test, the user needs to double-click on Transducer option after completing the Data in Device section in General Test Object window. On Transducer Properties page, it is possible to view a set of functions. For a transducer test, the user can select from among functions such as active power, reactive power, apparent power, frequency, current, voltage, power factor, load factor, phase, mean current, DC voltage, DC power, and line-to-line voltage. Some of these parameters can be measured in single-phase state, some in three-phase state, while some can be measured in both states. In accordance with the transducer type and its manufacturer company, this equipment can have different inputs and even in some cases, several inputs simultaneously. Finally, these inputs will be converted into analog signals. On the other side, the transducers can also have binary outputs which are activated as soon as the specified characteristic goes past a certain limit. In some other cases, it's possible to use the output binary signals as a counter that produces a pulse based on the measured energy. The type of output received from the transducer is specified in Output section. To test transducers and in accordance with their output, it's possible to take their output current and DC voltage to the inputs of the device for measurement by selecting current or voltage option. Otherwise, pulse option can be selected so that the number of pulses are recorded. Open loop option makes it possible to record the values in transducers that only display the outputs on the screen that is located in front of the user. So a window asking the user to enter the values manually appears. The connection related to the current transformers is specified in CT star point connection section. Since normally active power flows from the bus bar toward line option is selected. Selecting toward line is in accordance with the injection of active power from the device into the equipment. If toward bus bar is selected, 180 degrees are added to the current angle. In full scale error reference section, it is possible to specify the reference for recording the error, which is specified as a range from 0 to maximum or from negative to positive maximum. If the characteristic is asymmetrical, the range is from 0 to maximum, and if it is symmetric, both options can be selected for error calculation. Before this, in this video related to offload test of the meter, a complete explanation about error calculation has been provided. In tolerance section, the error value can be entered in form of an absolute or relative value. The default values are 1 millipulse and 0.25%. In the end, a comparison is made between these two values and the greater value is selected as the allowed error value. About transducers, before anything, the accuracy class for different characteristic of power, current, voltage to frequency must be specified. This factor is obtained using the calculations and relations that are available in the manual of the transducer. In number of phases section, it is specified whether the transducer is single phase or three-phase. The test characteristic is specified in characteristic definition section. Since the transducer characteristic can be either linear or non-linear, symmetric and asymmetric options are available for characteristic type. Moreover, it is possible to select the appropriate option in accordance with the features of the transducer from linear, compound, and quadric. To specify energy import and export values, symmetrical option can be checked so that a different characteristic from both sides is available. The minimum value for the input and output of the transducer is specified in minimum value field. If the compound performance characteristic option is selected, knee point needs to be specified as well. In fact, this point divides the characteristic into two parts with different ranges. The maximum value for the input and output of the transducer is specified in maximum value field. Also, the range of the performance characteristic is specified in saturation range field. It should be noted that by using primary and secondary option at the top of the page, it's possible to enter the values in form of primary or secondary in accordance with the type of the meter, which should be done considering the CT and PT turns ratio. Relative and absolute options are used to display the relative or absolute value of the elements. After entering the values, OK is selected to continue with the test. After completing the information in Transducer Properties section, hardware configuration needs to be examined. By opening this window, the user can see that the current and voltage outputs are adjusted by default. Also, in Binary Analog Input tab, it can be seen that binary number 9 is considered for measuring the output milliampere by default. However, if necessary, it's possible to use any other binaries of the device. After applying the changes, by clicking on OK, the changes are saved. To perform the test, the user only needs to specify the intended binary inputs and then begin the process of measuring the voltage and current elements in accordance to compare them with the transducer characteristic. Here we are going to perform the sample test on a transducer. The transducer is of the S3WRD series, which is a sample for reactive active power measurement, or watt-var. This transducer has a 0.2% accuracy for the output rate. The S3WRD series is available in 3 different models of S3WRD1, S3WRD3, and S3WRD3A. The difference is in how they are used in single-phase and three-phase systems, as well as 3-wire and 4-wire systems. Also, it's possible to use these transducers with 1 and 5 amperes input currents, as well as vast variety of voltage inputs. The model we're analyzing is S3WRD3, and a picture of its wiring can be seen in the following. For example, for a 230-watt output, this transducer gives a 4 mA output with 1 ampere of input current and 132 volts of input voltage. If the output power is 0, we will have 12 milliamperes, and if it is 230 watts, we will have 20 milliamperes in the output. Considering these values and the linear characteristic of the transducer, it is time to test this equipment. In the first step, by running the AM Pro software, we enter the AMT Transducer and Meter environment. Before anything, by clicking on Test Object Parameters, the information related to the transducer is entered in Device section. This information includes the title, explanation for the transducer, the manufacturer company, type of the device, installation location of the equipment, and the serial number. In Nominal Values section, values related to CT secondary and PT are entered in accordance with how the test is performed. Now, after accepting these items by double-clicking on Transducer, the user enters the Transducer Properties window. By selecting the intended function, which here is active power, the output is set at current. By enabling the symmetrical option, it is made possible to also evaluate the negative values. In Minimum Value section, 230 watts is entered as the input value, and its corresponding output, which equals 40 milliamperes, is entered. In Maximum Value section, 230 watts is entered in secondary form as the value, and the corresponding current for this output is specified to be 20 milliamperes. After accepting these, it is time to add the points on the characteristic and perform the test. A simple approach is to click on Sequence and specify the upper and lower limits of power and the number of the test points so that the points are added in certain distances. By performing the test, it can be observed that the output values are recorded in accordance with the applied input. By enabling the display of actual value for the binary number 9, it's possible to view the waveform of the measured values in Signal View window in the software. After the test is finished, the intended elements are selected and the report is prepared.